Right, folks. Well, back in the studio to record an interview. Yes, it's been a while, I know. But funny enough, one of the gentlemen about to join me was the first guy I ever interviewed. That's a scary thought, and that should have been a warning in itself. But anyway, joining me on the line from the other side of the pond in Canada is Greg and Pat from Stormfalls. Welcome to Rockposer.com.
All right. Nice to talk to you again, Dan.
Yeah, thanks for having us, man.
It's good to talk again. It's been too long.
It's been a minute, man. For sure.
Well, Stormforce, where shall we start? Obviously, I might as well tell folks that the album Age of Fear is out on Escape Music this month, on the 25th, in fact. First question, I guess, is when did you actually first come up with the idea of putting together Stormforce?
You?
Yeah, that a few years ago. Like Brighton Rock was trying to do a record and stuff like that, and we just couldn't get it off the ground. And you know, I'm always writing songs. Like every day, I got melodies buzzing in my head, and just picking my guitar up, got lots of riffs and stuff like that. And you know, it's just after a while, you get certain songs like, God, that's a good song, man. You know, and you get a lot of songs that are crap, right? And you get that old saying, oh, I got writer's block. Well, you know, that's with me too. You get writer's block. It's not that I can't write. It's just a lot of times what you write, you're not crazy about, but you just get it out anyways, you know?
Sure.
But after a while, you start getting a bunch of songs like, you know, these are good songs. To me, I think they're good. It's a shame that they're just, nobody's hearing them. So I decided to get a band together and wanted to get some guys that are local, close to me. And that's where it started. I got Pat here and our drummer Brian and Mike, just local guys. They're the top of their game, phenomenal players. And I'm lucky that it's all worked out the way it has, you know, because in the past you get a band, one guy lives an hour away, another guy lives 2 hours away, and it's such a struggle. You know, you might only see each other once every 2 weeks or 3 weeks. We can get together every day. We're that close to each other, and the fact that these guys are at this level is such an honor. So there we go, man. So 3 years ago we decided to put this band together. Then we just kind of chipped away at it, you know, a song here, song there, toss that song out, bring this song in. And once we got 10 that we were actually at 11, once we had the 11 that we were proud of, we said, yep, those are the ones. Then we decided to make the record. And here we are.
So have you guys known each other for a long time, or did you go and find people when you decided to put the band together?
Well, actually, I know most of the guys in the band for a little bit, but Greg I've actually known since I was a little kid. He actually used to hang out with my brother when he was 13, I think. So I was probably like 8 years old or 7 years old, and he used to hang out with my brother. My brother used to play drums, and that's kind of how I got into being a musician. And that's where I met Greg. He used to sleep in my house.
Yeah, isn't all the guys in your whole family, they're all musicians? Like they all sing, right? Like
yeah, pretty much. I got two brothers that are both in bands. Somebody at least plays an instrument or sings something, does something.
I remember that when I was a kid. It's like they're all singing. Yeah, his older brother Tom and me, we were in the same grade 7 and grade 8, and he took me out, like he was into horses. He took me on horse. I'd never been in a horse before. He took me on a horseback ride. You remember that kind of stuff. And it's funny because like Tom, his brother, he's also in a local band, a pretty successful cover band called Madmen, right?
Yep.
And he asked me one day, what are you doing with Pat? I'm a better singer than Pat. I should be in your band. I've known you longer than Pat. Sorry, Tom, but Pat's the man for now. But if he calls in sick one day, you got the job.
So how did the name come about?
Well, that's a strange one because it's, I don't know. You ever tried getting a band name together, Dan, for anything?
Yeah.
You ever tried to do it?
Oh, yeah.
How hard is it?
Actually, the two I came up with were pretty easy, but that's a long and sordid story, which we haven't got time for now.
No, but it finds like every time you think, hey, that's a cool name, right? So then you put the word band beside it and Google it. You know, like, okay, I like the song, I like the group or the name. How about Emerald Rain? Yeah, that's a good one. Okay, look up Emerald Rain Band. Boom, there's 10 bands. You know, every single name you think is cool, there's a band that has it. So the label, Khalil from the label, we had a different name. I think we were going to go for Ring of Steel. He didn't like it. He thought that sounds like sounds like Lord of the Rings or something. And I said, yeah, okay. Well, I was never 100% on the name, but so we just kept tossing names back and forth to each other. And what about this name? What about that name? And, he would like something, I wouldn't like it. If I liked something, he didn't like it. And then finally we just stumbled upon that name, Stormforce, and we both went, yeah, I like it. Well, I like it too. And then I let the guys say, yeah, that works. Cool. That's it. And, did the search. There was one little local pub band, I think in the UK, and they got like 43 likes or something. So I said, okay, well, they're not a recording act, so maybe we can kind of get name. And so we, got the domain, got the website going, and now it's ours.
Great stuff. Let's have a look at the songs. Obviously, as you said, there's 10 tracks on the album. Now, I guess you've probably had a lot of these songs floating around for quite a few years. What sort of impact or input did the rest of the guys have on those songs, or were they more or less finished?
There was a couple that was finished. Because of You, particularly, that was finished. I was going to do that with Brighton Rock. I just never could get it off the ground. Another song called Breathe, that was... the music was finished, the vocal melodies were finished, but didn't have lyrics. And but all the other songs are newer songs. I wrote those while we got together. I mean, we record a song and then, I'd get inspired. Like, wow, that sounds amazing. And, when I get inspired like that, I just go home, pick up my guitar. Next thing you know, other ideas start floating around. Like I find that when I go to concerts and stuff, it's like, you go see a really good concert, and it just brings out all these emotions. You come back and you get inspired, and so I'd say at least 7, 8 of those songs are new songs that weren't floating around for years. They were pretty much written during the band. Actually, More Than You Know, I think that was an older one too, but it was never finished. I think I got as far as the bridge, and I could never finish it. I think Different Roads was kind of like that too. Just one of those ones that's been around, but I just could never finish it until now. When all of a sudden the inspiration, boom, everything falls into place. Yeah, so there you go.
When it comes to the sound, people do, as you know, like the pigeonhole, or you've got to fit a particular genre. Did you feel that you needed to produce a particular sound, or was it just something that just came, just a natural progression on from obviously Frayed Gang and Brighton rock material?
Yeah, well, so the way I look at sound, though, to me, there's always been the kind of bands that try to write for what's popular or what's going on at the moment,
sure.
Or what people might like. Where we just write songs. Greg, especially, is obviously the main writer, and I'm writing the lyrics. We write what we dig, right? That to me, I think that's more important than anything. I think there's been a lot of times where you're trying to write that hit.
Yeah. Where
instead you should just be writing stuff that you dig and hope someone else does as well.
Yeah, and I find also that like a lot of times you get these trends, like a new big band, and it's like, wow, they're exploding. Listen, they got a new sound. We should try to emulate that, right? So then, but that's so say you start trying to do that, follow that path. By the time you write your songs, your new songs with this new sound that you think you found, by the time that record comes out a year and a half later, whatever, that's already been dated. It's like, oh that's old news, that sound. So you're kind of chasing your tail. It's better to be totally innovative, or just stick with your roots. I mean, if you grew up with 70s rock and that's what floats your boat, just write it, man. And then that's what we do. We just write songs, and it's like, you know what? I like that. You like that? Yeah, I like that. Okay, that's it. If we all like it, we know there's an audience out there that has the same, taste as us. Not everybody's going to like it. Right, and there's certain bands that are humongous that I don't like. I mean, sure. Red Hot Chili Peppers. Pat likes them. I could never handle the singer. That the band was great, but I could never. The singer just did nothing for me. Meanwhile, these guys are selling gajillions of records. I don't get it, but I understand it. There's a marker for that. So it's the same with us. We just stick to our roots and what makes us feel good.
Talking to markets, I mean, the UK is pretty well known, not just in the rock scene, but obviously blues as well. Just the fact that we're probably a bit more open to anything new that comes along, unlike other markets. Did you go with Escape because they're sort of more open, being a UK label, or did you find that you were struggling to find anyone in Canada who was willing to sort of take the jump?
we never even approached anybody in Canada. Not one label. There's just no market here in Canada. It's sad. I mean,
right.
All the radio here is just classic rock. They stick to the staple hits. They don't give anybody new a chance. You know, it's like nobody actually gives a chance. Internet radio is nothing over here in Canada. Not like in Europe. You know, bands like Eclipse and Heat and Pretty Maids. Like all these bands are playing the Monsters of Rock cruise. That's all based on internet radio. They're not on major radio stations.
No.
You know. And that doesn't exist here in Canada. So I found with Phrase Gang, I released 2 records. All my sales, 80% of my sales was Europe. Not even, Germany's like outsold anybody in Canada. My own country, Germany is buying way more records. I don't know why Germany, but, UK itself too. I mean, all these countries over there, they just have a thirst for this style of music that's never waned. Grunge didn't really make too much of a dent compared to here.
True.
So when it came time for labels, I got some interest from some other labels actually ahead of time. I started reaching out to a couple of people in the industry and, hey, what do you think about this label? You ever dealt? Oh, no, stay away from that one. Oh, no, stay with that one. That guy's a shark. Oh, no, you know what? If I were you, I'd check out Escape. So I heard that a few times. So I reached out to Escape. I said, hey, I'm hearing some good things. We have mutual friends. They speak highly of you. Would you maybe be interested in hearing a few songs? And sure enough, they were, and they loved what they heard, and we made a deal and haven't looked back since.
I've got to say, things you brought it up. I personally gutted it. Brighton Rock are not back on Monsters of Rock cruise this year. It's typical that we couldn't make it last year. We're on this year, and you guys aren't playing.
Yeah, you were there the year before when we're not there. We show up, you're not there. Now you're going there when we're not there again. You're doing this on purpose. If we're there next year, you're not going. I know for sure. And then the year after, you'll show up. That's Jesus. The way you are, Dan.
I'll tell you
traitor.
What. I don't know if I could do another year. Christ, I don't think my bank account could handle it.
Exactly.
It's not a cheap gig. That's for sure. The flights alone are just crippling.
Yeah, I can't even imagine what it would be coming like from the UK, but it's an honor getting invited. That's the thing, like every band on the planet wants to play that cruise, and the fact that we got invited at all was kind of shocking because we're not in the limelight anymore. We broke up in the early '90s, and our name still seems to be out there. So that was an honor. If we get invited back, that's going to be an honor again. Maybe one day Stormfrost will be on there. You never know. I doubt it, but you never know.
Well, I was going to say, I mean, there's bound to be an opportunity at some point for you guys to come over and play in the UK because, as we know, the market here is a lot more open, even if it's only for, a couple of dates or something on a festival. They do seem to be an awful lot more flexible here.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the kind of what we're looking for. We're into this for the love of playing music and having a good time. And
of course,
that would be great just to get included in some festival over there or Germany or France or and kind of just enjoy that process of playing in front of people. It's what we like to do the most.
Well, Greg will tell you. I mean, you guys were stunned by the reaction that Brighton Rock got at both Firefest. The fact that you came back a second year was a sort of unheard of.
The fact that festival lasted for 10 years is unheard of, because in here it wouldn't last 2 years.
Yeah, you wouldn't pack a big bar.
You would never. It just does. People just don't support like bands like that here. It's unbelievable. I mean, we were shocked when we went there. I mean, the place is sold out. I mean, that thing's Firefest was almost sold out before the bands were even announced. That's how much of a staple that thing was. And there's like I said, there's a thirst for the music still over there that doesn't exist here. And you guys, that are taking it for granted over there, you don't know how lucky you have it. I'm telling you.
Oh, well, I know how lucky we are.
That you post on Facebook sometimes, Dan, and they're all like, how are they going to pull that off? Boom, they did. The next year, they're doing it again. They try doing that stuff here. It fails every time. We had 2 big festivals in the summer, huge. They were supposed to be in close to where we live. Big bands,
right?
And
Vince Neil.
And Vince Neil and Aerosmith, and these 2 big festivals. They both went bankrupt, but they couldn't even pull it off. And that's just typical. That's typical for here. they think, oh, of course this can't miss, and they, everybody will buy their tickets, and so they make all these promises to these bands and pay them half up front, and all of a sudden the tickets aren't selling, and now they're stuck, and this is what happens on and on and on constantly. So yeah, you guys are lucky over there, man.
We certainly are. I mean, where we are now, where we moved to, I mean, we've got 2 local festivals which are new. Well, Stone Deaf, this was their second. It was their second year last year, and Call of the Wild was new, which is about 40 minutes up the road. And these guys, the tickets are 2/3, 3/4 sold out months before the event. Because it's, as you're saying, it's not, the band's not necessarily all announced straight away, yet the tickets are going out the door because people just, either have a passion for the music, or it's the whole community thing, I think. It's not just the music, it's just the whole getting together and just having a good time.
I found that with the Monsters of Rock cruise, too. It's the same thing. It reminded me a lot of Firefest, where every single person, in the room or at the venue, whatever, they're all your friends, even though you don't know them, but they all have the same love of music as you, and it's like this huge family, and it's you can't touch that, man. And that's why with Firefest, these people were buying tickets in advance, a year in advance, from all over the world. They're flying in from Japan and Spain and all these different, Canada, whatever. And you just don't see that here in Canada, like ever do they have these festivals anymore. I mean, it just does not exist because you can't pull them off. I mean, you get some of these other ones out west, Western Canada, they'll have some, big Canadian bands, but they've been tested. They're tested markets. And, but even still, it's nothing like what you guys have. So you got to put your word in and get Stormforce over there, Dan. Come on, buddy. Counting on you.
Oh, I could put a word out. It's you've still got my PayPal address, so I'm sure something can get arranged.
There we go.
Well, obviously, looking at online, looking at the response that you guys have had already, and let's face it, the album's not even out yet. It's only people who've heard the promo or what have you. I mean, you guys seem to have really hit the ground running.
That's being new to this with Greg. Obviously, Greg had some success with Brighton Rock. I was actually had the same kind of idea where I'm sitting there surfing the net, and to search for the album and to see all the reviews already, and already interviews. Greg's getting tons of requests as well for interviews. It's been awesome. Like, it's been a great experience so far. It's just to get the music out there and to know that people around the world, albeit maybe a small amount, they're listening. People are listening to the tunes in Spain and Japan and wherever.
I got to give Escape Music credit also for that too, because they do have a reach. They've been around a long time, so they have certain channels that when they release the product, they can get you places where with Phrase Gang I could never get. I just didn't know how to do it, right? And that's a big help. And so he would send the stuff out in advance to all the press and radio and stuff like that, and if the record wasn't up to par, there'd be zero response. But we're getting some pretty good response, and it's overwhelming, to tell you the truth, because I really did not expect this. I mean, the record's still, a couple more weeks before it gets released. Yeah. It's like, wow, what's going to happen then? So we got our fingers crossed. We're getting anxious and waiting to see what happens.
One last question, which again is on the personal front for me, really. Phrase Gang is that now retired as a band?
I think it is. I really enjoy doing it.
Yeah.
But we did some live shows, and I didn't like it. I've always been just a guitar player on stage with Brighton Rock, and I can just sink into that and just concentrate on that. But with being a frontman and a guitar player, it was so new to me, and I didn't have fun. It was more stress than anything.
Right.
Like trying to remember all your guitar parts, trying to remember all the words to the song, trying to sing on key, and then trying to engage with the audience, not looking stiff up there. And then, like I'm used to finishing a song, and then Jerry will talk from Brighton Rock, and I go grab my towel, wipe the sweat off, have a drink, get ready for the next song type of thing. I can't do that when you're a front man. All the eyes are on you, man. You finish a song, I got sweat going in my eye, I'm dying of thirst. I can't have dead air on stage. Little stuff like that. It's just like, oh man. So that, now that I got Pat in the band, he's a phenomenal singer, great front man. I can just slack off all I want. Let him do it.
Just do all the work.
Do all the work.
It's funny that he mentions that, though. Exactly. With I've been in a different band, like cover bands and stuff, playing guitar and singing. And it's true, being a frontman, my time to have a drink or whatever is during the guitar solo, right? The singer should be going backstage, and the guitar player should be going front center stage to take over the audience. And I can relate with him exactly. Singing and playing sucks. And you're entertaining at the same time. You literally have no time to do anything except for do your job 100%.
That's right. Like, I got to give hats off to guys that do that are frontmen that can play instruments and do all that kind of stuff. Like Geddy Lee from Rush, like unbelievable. Like all these different people.
Dave Meniketti.
It's Stevie Ray Vaughan, like unreal, man. The guy's just wailing up there, singing great, and it's like, wow, hats off to him. But so the Phrase Gang thing. Once I got this thing off the ground, there's no looking back. I'm not saying it'll never happen again with Phrase Gang, but right now, all my focus is on Stormforce, man. I'm just loving it. It's so exciting for us right now, and get to talk to people like you over in the UK and stuff like that. It's awesome.
Well, Greg, Pat, thanks for taking the time to natter to this idiot. Absolutely love the album. Well, let's face it, Greg, I would have told you if it had been otherwise. I wish you all the success with the album, and fingers crossed, maybe you might make it over the pond at some point.
Fingers are crossed, my friend. It's been a pleasure talking to you, Dan. I hope to see you soon.
Have a good one, Dan. Nice meeting you.
Thank you very much indeed. Cheers now.
All right, brother. Cheers.